Hey, you're listening to WSCA 106.1 FM, Portsmouth's community radio. It is 12 o'clock on a Monday, which means it's time for Seacoast Business Connections radio show. I'm your host, Mark Miller. I'm here with my PixelMEDIA co-host team of Erik and TJ.
What's up, Marcus?
What's going on? Well, let me introduce Kevin Crowell. So Kevin, I've known for a long time. Kevin is the GM, or I guess vice president at Bayside Distributors. So anybody that hangs around the Portsmouth or whole Seacoast that drinks Coors Light, Miller Lite, Sam Adams, Twisted Tea Light, Twisted Tea, which is really Sam Adams.
Corona Guinness.
I mean,
no, lay it out there. Get them all out there.
This is Kevin's.
Biggest local smutty nose.
You've been doing this for how you started right out of college, didn't you? I mean, you must be 20 plus years into this easily.
Yeah, I started 21 years ago. Started on the trucks, so in college, 2 years.
Yeah, and you were
college.
merchandising too.
Yeah, and I merchandise, and then I've been with Bayside for 19 years.
Well, just a quick funny story about how passionate these guys are about the brands they carry. So for my entire early teens, 20s, you couldn't have anything in the house but Anheuser-Busch product. And one day I get a phone call, or maybe you came to the house, and all of a sudden it was like, what are you doing with that stuff in your house? And it was literally shift over to Coors Light.
Big transition, all my friends.
Yeah, all his friends had to move. I mean,
thing,
or you were kind of cut out. But
you were kind of cut out.
No, I'm so Bayside. We represent a number of brands. Our big brands are Miller Coors, Sam Adams, Corona Guinness, Pabst, Smutty Nose locally. When I started, Smutty Nose was probably about 8,000 to 10,000 cases for us. We'll do 75,000 cases in the Seacoast of Smutty Nose right now. Peter Eggleston, yeah.
And what about
he was on this summer. Yeah.
But even what about the resurgence in PBR? This is what I mean. It changes, right?
Yeah, dude. PBR's made a big comeback.
PBR, Narragansett. You have all these hipster beers now that people.
What was PBR doing when you started, and what is it? I mean, just to even put a frame.
Well, it was popular back then. 20 years ago, PBR was big. Then it dropped for about 16.
Yeah, it dropped, and it came back, and it's kind of this. I'll call it the craft craze is taken over. Everybody wants something that's not mass domestic,
mainstream,
that you see advertising. Bud, Miller Coors. You can't watch ESPN without seeing ads on that. And the culture of this group, some call it hipsters. This craft craze, it's just exploding, exploding. And the domestic beer is. For these hipsters is Pabst, brands like Narragansett that we carry. That it's old heritage, and that's what it is. It's basically the heritage brands.
What's old is new.
Yeah, what's old is new, and we've seen an uptick with Miller Lite. Miller Lite was a struggle for a while. I don't know if you guys have seen the advertising
because they put it in the retro cans.
They come back to the white label. Everything, the packaging, the cans are white opposed to the blue, and it's amazing the difference that that's made.
Manili is like a Miller Lite, nothing but Miller Lite.
Yeah, when I was a kid, we had Miller Red Light in the fridge. That's when Mom would drink, in the summertime.
Did you say that's what Mama drank?
Just a matter of time. So Natty Light and Keystone will be back any time now.
Well, they were hot in the college market, and now they're starting to decline a little bit in the college market because that's we
that was hot back then. That stayed consistent.
Key Light, Natty Light.
Oh
still,
my God.
Well, you get a 30 for what, $10? I mean, you've really kind of been. I mean, where you are, you have a unique perspective on sort of what's moving and what isn't, even on a monthly basis, because you're running. I mean, all the sales guys report to you, so you kind of have a pulse on a weekly basis as to what's going on.
Absolutely, and so. I'm like a big store. We order the beer for Bayside to get to everybody else. So, if you order 12,000 cases of Miller Lite and it's trending down, but Smutty Nose is growing 8,000 cases, you have to have a balance in your warehouse of what you have in because it's a perishable product.
Do these brands find you, or do you guys search them out, or is it kind of just once you're in the business, it's
a little of each. Yeah. Right now with all these crafts coming up, and we've picked up a small guy, Baxter, out of Maine, Baxter Brewing. And basically what it is it's a process. They're interviewing us. We're interviewing them. There's some that I say no to, but, they want to find the right fit in the right house, and we hope it's Bayside. And that's pretty much our goal right now. I mean, we're grabbing a lot of brands that make sense, and
because you don't know which one might break out too, right?
You don't know it's going to be the next home run, and that's for sure.
And you have to lock it up, right? I mean, if they're selling it to you, they're not selling it to anybody else that distributes in your region.
You have territory rights.
So this is very much about do you have a pulse on what's going on so you can pick up?
Yes, we when we sign on with a brand, it's pretty much everything that's put through it is 50-50, whether we do radio advertising, different marketing.
So it's a 50-50 co-op, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
Whether it's buying T-shirts, keychains, there's an investment with that.
But that is your marketing and merchandising. I mean, you've got to be able to help push product out there. So just to kind of go back a little bit, so what's your role at Bayside officially?
I'm Vice President of Sales and Marketing.
Okay, so what is in your what's under your sphere of influence? Like, what's a sort of a day or a week for you? What do you have actual sort of control over?
My role now, growing up in the business, used to be in the street, seeing accounts on a regular basis. Still try to do that, but mostly now is managing our sales force out there.
Yeah.
And I have a great supervisor network that oversee those guys. So I'm not day-to-day in trade with them.
Yeah.
Mostly now is dealing with our suppliers because you have so many.
Right. You're sort of at the high level of the chain there.
Just every day. I mean, I could have a meeting every day with a different supplier.
No kidding.
Actually, when we leave here, we have...
You're right, 35 weeks, basically.
Yeah. We have Erik's favorite. We have our Twisted Tea and Angry Orchard business plan at 2 o'clock today.
And you meet with them separately than the Sam Adams folks because it's all Boston beer product.
It's all Boston beer product, but because they've gotten so big, we have to do the beer one, the Sam Adams, a separate time from the Angry Orchard and Twisted Tea because they've gotten so big.
So there's a whole. All right, I want to get into a little bit of the Kevin's. Well, it's restaurant
on premise.
Actually, because I'm thinking about the times when you have an extra Red Sox ticket here and there in one of these events, and I sort of jump on the bus, and there's everything from the bartenders, the bar owners, the guy that runs the chain, the guy that buys the beverages, and there's a sort of this eclectic group of people, and you are a master at bringing them all together, going to Red Sox, going to Celtics.
Yeah, like Hatfields and McCoys in a bus.
It's crazy, and I mean...
I've never been to one of those events.
I mean, from a sales, we talk about building relationships and sales. I mean, that's really what it is, right? I mean, you're trying to spend time with these people.
Yeah, we've had Red Sox opening days with a bus, and have had our number one on-premise bar owner... with our number one market basket manager sitting next to each other on the bus. And it's two totally different cultures. They'll tease
the business
and say,
guy and
you have Mr. Whipple from Squeezing the Charmin at the grocery store, and then you have rest his soul, love the guy, good friend of mine and all of yours, Mike Libby, who owned the bar, who was Mr. Durham, Mr. UNH. And so let's see. Mike partied one way, and Mr. Whipple partied a different way. He lived his life a different way. But you know what?
Oh.
You bring them all together as a group, and you know what? They all have the same thing in common. They have a blast. It was the Red Sox. In those days are just building relationships.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, for my beer guys, my sales team going into, I believe this business is face to face. I call it belly to belly. Talking to them, looking in the eye, and building a relationship, and that's probably the most important. Yeah. That's the part that that's why we pay our sales guys.
He's the best dressed guy in the room right now.
I got to go see people. Actually,
he's smarter than he looks. I knew it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Kevin, for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Kevin. It was fun. Thanks.
And thank you guys for listening. This has been Seacoast Business Connections Radio Show. I'm your host, Mark Miller, thanking TJ and Erik from PixelMEDIA and Kevin from Bayside Distributors for a great show today.